Okay. Good morning and good evening to all. Today we are having the second part of the webinar, which we have conducted last time. We have conducted the part one of the webinar, that is what is OSCE and how the nurses has to prepare for the OSCE, and what are the stations in the OSCE, and some of the parts what would be the assessment stage and what is the planning stage, and some of the implementations also we have seen in the last time. But however, we thought we will be having it in two phases so that more queries can be raised by the candidate, and also they will get a complete idea about how the OSCE will be. And also we have what are the facilities Javan is providing, and also how what should be the approach towards OSCE, because as it's happening in UK, how it shall be, and before going, what are the preparations they can do. So these all are the things which we are discussing today. So before moving on to the formal session, I request our Secretary General, Mrs. Evelyn P. Kannan, to welcome the gathering, as well as the delegates from UK as well as TNA National. Over to you, madam.
Yeah, very good afternoon, and I bring greetings from the Trained Nurses Association of India. And today we are fortunate to have our national President, Professor Dr. A.K. George today. Because, sir, we have a meeting last week, but so many people, around 250, 50 candidates were present to listen, and it was a fruitful meeting. They have raised many queries, and we could be able to answer. The team from UK could be able to answer. And today is a second webinar. And so far we have 100 delegates, but however, we are making it's online through YouTube, and so many people may be visiting. And thank you so much, sir, for accepting this last moment invitation, but you have been present over here to say a few words about our this thing. And as well as I warmly welcome our UK team. And thank you so much for, we are once again welcome you all to this session. And last time, everyone appreciated the way you answered and clarified many of their queries, and they are really wanted to visit the session. And as the time is very short, I hand over this to really welcome our National President, Professor Dr. A.K. George, to say a few words about it, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn. Yeah, good afternoon to the people attending from India, and good morning to those people who are married from the UK. Greetings from Trained Nurses Association of India. We are really happy to associate with various NHS trusts in this mission. And as our Secretary General mentioned, the last session was very useful because it was a direct interaction where prospective candidates or prospective nurses could clarify their doubts and make sure that what they are going to do or what they have to prepare. And definitely there will be so many frequently asked questions which can be directly answered by you. So I thank the team UK for being present in this meeting, and congratulate the TNA office bearers for organizing this. And I wish and hope that the participants will definitely get benefited. It will be a fruitful session, and without taking much more time, I wish the team, the resource persons, as well as the participants, a good interactive session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ajnas, you are muted.
I'm sorry. Now we are moving on to the introduction part, what are the facilities available for OSCE, because last time we have seen the Nightingale, it's a specialized area during the COVID the UK mission had created, where now Devon is providing better OSCE training, because many have appreciated, because many areas they have seen part of their hospital or a small area of their hospital is converted into a training center, wherein in your place, many candidates at a time can get the training for OSCE. So more they wish to know what are the facilities other than, because you have got around 6 hospitals under your alliance. So what are the facilities from each hospitals like Devon, Exeter, Torbay, and Plymouth Hospital? So what are the facilities you are providing? And what is your pattern of training that the candidates wish to know? Over to you, Tracy.
Thank you, Ajina. So the OSCE facilities within the Devon Alliance, as you saw on the last webinar, we have the facility at the Nightingale Hospital in Exeter. So primarily nurses coming to the Royal Devon and Exeter hospitals and North Devon hospitals will actually be able to do their OSCE training at the Nightingale. We know University Hospitals Plymouth have recently secured a new OSCE facility. So nurses coming to Plymouth will also undertake their OSCE preparation and training at the new facility in Plymouth. They do actually run their own training at the moment in a bit of an older building, so to speak, but they will soon be moving into the new facility, and we're hoping we'll be able to do a live streamed video similar to what we did last week in for Plymouth. Torbay, they don't have their own OSCE facilities where they're able to do their training, so they use our partners within Devon and neighbouring counties, their facilities in OSCE. So if there is space at the Nightingale in Exeter, some of our Torbay nurses will be able to join them there. Likewise with Plymouth. Otherwise, they will use other hospitals that actually run the OSCE training. Now, different hospitals who do have the privilege of their facilities, they will run different programs, all to the same standards and all to pass the exam. So everybody is taught exactly the same way. It's just some courses are taken over a little bit longer. Others have done an intensive course over a smaller period of time, so 4 to 5 days. So I hope that's helpful, Ajinas.
Yeah, Tracy, that is correct. But what the other things which they were asking is, like last day there were some queries you have clarified, like the transportation and other areas that you mentioned, like usually they will be taking their own transportation, where the hospital or nearby they will get the accommodation. So in case if any nurse is coming to you for the mental health, then also the same provisions will be, the areas will be provided for the OSCE training, or the location will be different?
So for mental health nursing, Ajinas, yes, it will be different. And I'm going to ask my colleague Carly, who's on the call, just to correct me if I'm wrong. There are a small number of centres in the UK that are delivering OSCE training and preparation for mental health, and the same for any midwives as well that are on the call. So I'm not entirely sure whether Exeter run mental health at the moment for OSCE. If that's the case for our nurses coming through to the Devon Partnership Trust, they will be signposted to one of our trusts in neighbouring counties for OSCE training. So everybody gains they have that advantage, and will be sent to the right location that would deliver that specialist training, and they will be supported in terms of their transport to and from that facility. I don't think Exeter run the OSCE for mental health, do they, Carly? I'm just going to ask Carly just to clarify on that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So these are the major questions regarding the introduction, and one more thing they have asked. So the candidates who have completed the legacy CBT, as well as they are from the July, we are aware that the new OSCE is going to be implemented completely. So some of the candidates are asking, like, where they have the old CBT with them. So will they have to go for the new CBT, or they can hold the same CBT for the from July onwards for the OSCE? They have to change, or they can use the old one?
They can use the old CBT. That's correct. It's just been confirmed from the NMC. I think we received the update from them last week, so that's really good news. So they can continue with their legacy CBT.
Yeah, and also the last question to you is, like, there are many, last day you have mentioned about the pediatric vacancies available in the Devon, and you have mentioned that if they are planning to be on the pediatric area, then they have to go for the adult CBT. Sorry, pediatric CBT, sorry, child health CBT. So if a candidate who already completed the adult one and later they are coming to know that I have to work in pediatrics, so I have to go for the child health CBT. So the switching is possible, and if possible, what's the duration to be for the next CBT?
So it's, I know this is confusing. So the pediatric CBT, some hospitals will be requiring children to have sat pediatric CBT to work in their children's areas. Now, one of the hospitals that we've been working with does require that. University Hospitals Plymouth are looking for paediatric nurses at the moment, but because they don't have the facility to prepare for paediatric OSCE, they are happy to interview nurses that have the adult CBT. So they will still be able to work in a paediatric environment, and that will be on a paediatric ward, but they won't necessarily be a registered paediatric nurse here in the UK because they've sat their adult CBT. So sadly, when you're here in the UK, you can't switch between the adult and the children's CBT. So once you come onto the register, having sat the adult CBT, you will join the adult part of the NMC register. So if the nurse wishes to become a registered children's nurse, they will need to change the CBT before they come to the UK. But we do have hospitals that are accepting both. So we review obviously each of the CVs that come through, and then we will do the liaison between each of the hospitals to see which is best placed and which is best suitable. I don't know if that answers that, Ajnas, does it?
Yes. So yeah. But from your quick answers, I got a curiosity to ask one more question from my part.
Okay, yeah, please do. Please do. It's what we're here
so
for.
if a nurse comes to you as an adult, as you said, like some of the hospitals, they don't have the pediatric or OSCE facility or training facility, so they're accepting it.
Yeah.
So once, and you also mentioned that they cannot change from the adult from the register to pediatric. But is it possible after 3 years, once their first contract is over? Once their first contract is over and when they are renewing, so can they change from pediatrics to adult to pediatric?
Pediatrics, yeah. I don't think so. And again, I'm going to look to Carly to see whether she can answer that one. I think once you've joined the register as either pediatrics or adult, you can't change once they're here in the UK. Am I correct on that, Carly?
Yeah, that's as much as I know as well. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I know in the past we've had a few questions in terms of paediatric nurses that have done the adult CBT, and I know I've raised that question with the NMC, and they were quite specific in terms of you can't change. It has to be the one pathway that they join the one part of the register here in the UK.
Okay, so
yeah.
what we can suggest to the nurses is, if their passion is towards pediatric or mental health, then before they move from India itself, they have to take the relevant CBT and go. Otherwise, once they reach there, it will be very difficult for them to switch from their adult area to pediatric or mental health. That's thank you, Tracy, and thank you for giving all the explanation about the OSCE as well as the facilities for OSCE in turn. And now I request Ms. Carly Boyce, and she's the international translation lead and dealing the OSCE training for the OSCE training in Devon. And we wish to know from you, because in the last time also there were questions regarding like how we can be successful and what we mean by what is the passing rate in each hospitals in Devon, and also how we can be successful in the first attempt itself. So these are the main things which we know we should know from you, along with what is the normal average passing rate for OSCE in Devon among all the hospitals.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I've done a little PowerPoint on sort of advice and top tips in terms of, passing your OSCE first time. So I'll certainly cover that within the presentation. So as Ajnan says, my name's Carly, and this is part 2 of our OSCE session. I'm going to go through a brief overview again of the OSCE, and then my top tips in trying to prepare you for passing your OSCE. So next slide, please, Laura. So this is our tips to succeed, okay? And this is just based on my experience. I've been working with international nurses and supporting nurses going through their OSCE training for about 6 years now. So these are based on my own personal experience. Next slide. So, brief overview of the OSCE stations, okay? So you will be examined on 10 stations. 4 of the stations will be scenario based and will relate to the AP. You'll hear it called the AP, which is assessment, planning, implementation and evaluation. And I went through this in a bit more depth on part 1 of our session, and I gave an example. So but please don't be scared by that. The example I've given has really broken it down into this is something that you do every single day. Then 4 of the 6 remaining stations will take the form of 2 linked stations, and you'll need to demonstrate your practical clinical skills. Next slide. So as I've said, you will be taught 15 OSCE stations in total during your OSCE training programme, of which 10 will be tested. Now, in the main, the OSCE training is 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks full time. You get the scenarios are demonstrated to you by the clinical training team, and then you get time to practice in your groups. You will be put in a group of 3, and you will practice over and over and over those OSCE stations, okay, until it becomes straightforward. You will be within your group of 3. One of your colleagues, who'll be another international nurse, will be assessing you and will give you feedback at the end. And I know we've got the second part of the OSCE video to show you shortly, and you'll see an OSCE scenario worked through by a group of nurses training. Next slide, please. Okay, so the top things that nurses fail on in their OSCE test, okay? So lack or failure of communication, and that's a lot of that is failure to communicate openly and demonstrate to the examiners that they are doing all of these things. And that's because it feels uncomfortable because it's not something you would do every day. You would not walk to a patient and say, okay, I'm approaching the patient, I'm going to check for any spillages on the floor, now it's safe to approach. You wouldn't normally do that in a clinical environment, but that's what we're expecting you to do in the exam, because we need to know that you're thinking these things through. So you need to verbalise every single thing. Now, as we all know, we all get a bit nervous, don't we, in exam situations? And please just take some time to read the scenarios and instructions, okay? Some nurses get quite nervous and they speed, because all of these OSCE stations are timed. You get a set time period to do it. They feel like they're rushing, okay? You do get plenty of time to complete it. Really read the scenarios and read them again, all right? Quite a lot of nurses don't leave enough time at the end to do their documentation, and that is vital. The hand hygiene, this will be drilled into you in your OSCE education program. There is a certain routine, and you have to demonstrate that you're doing your thumbs, your fingertips. There's a whole process. You will learn it, okay? So next slide, please. So if you fail the OSCE, so you get 3 attempts in the UK to pass your OSCE. Now, all of our hospitals in Devon, no matter which hospital you work at, we will pay for your first 2 attempts. Now, in my experience, in the last 6 years, I've only known one nurse fail both first and second attempt of sitting their OSCE, okay? Then they paid themselves to sit the third and they failed. So at that point, unfortunately, in terms of, because that's something that you'd need to pass to maintain your employment and visa, at that point that nurse had to go home. That is one example in hundreds of nurses in the last 6 years. It's very unusual to fail 3 times. So in Devon, we've got 99% pass rate for overall. So that's 99% of nurses pass first and second time, and it's less than 1% that fail 3 times. It really is. So please, I do hope that reassures you, okay? Right, so my top, oh, sorry, go back please. So my top tips. So learn from the previous OSCEs, okay? You will get plenty of time to practice in your OSCE education programme, but there's nothing to stop you learning now. We've got lots of webinars on Nursing in Devon YouTube channel. They're all free. We've done lots of OSCE education sessions on there. There are also a plethora of sessions for you to watch online. Start watching them. And then when you start in Devon and in the UK, you're already a bit ahead of the game. You already kind of know what sort of thing you're going to be doing. So give yourself a head start and start watching the videos now. Now, you know, as you're gearing up for your exam, once you've had your OSCE training and you're preparing for exam, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. I cannot emphasize that enough. All right. Believe you are a healthcare professional, because you absolutely are. You are all trained nurses within your own right, okay? This is just something you have to demonstrate to go onto the NMC register. Like I've said before, use that reading time before each station, read the assessment and read the instructions, do it twice. And as I've said, watch the OSCE videos on YouTube. There are so many on there. Please use them. Next slide. Okay, you can do this. You absolutely can. We know that because we've got, you know, a huge workforce of international nurses working for us in Devon. We know you can do it. Please be on time. Okay, your timekeeping is essential. You know, it's important, isn't it, for when you're turning up for work? You wouldn't be late for a long shift or an early shift on the ward. We don't expect you to be late for your training, okay? Please get there with plenty of time so you are there fresh and ready to start. Self-care is really important. So when you arrive in the UK, we recognise this, the first 6 months are really tough. You've got the pressure of doing the OSCE training, you're starting to fit into your new team, but we are there to support you, and so are the clinical teams. It's really important you look after yourself. You know, you're eating well, you're drinking plenty of water, and have that time to make friends and socialise within your group. Very important, emotional well-being. So during this OSCE training programme and between OSCE training and exam, you've got to be prepared to devote your free time to study, all right? You will need to practice in the evenings with your small group. So it's very likely that a lot of the nurses that come in a cohort, some of you will go to training together. You already have friends in that group. You know, link in with them, practice, go round to their flat in the evening, go through some scenarios, practice, because it will really pay dividends. You have to be fully committed, all right? Give that full commitment. Get the OSCE done, get it passed, get your PIN number, and then the future is yours, all right? And I know a lot of you are thinking about bringing families over, and we strongly recommend that once you've got your PIN number, that's something that you do. But the first couple of months while you're studying, you're under a lot of pressure. Use this time for yourself, all right? Next slide. Okay, so shall we go on and play the second part of the OSCE video now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm going to put it in the waste bin. Yeah. So we'll just let these ladies finish. They're just doing a run through of urinary catheter removal, which is a skill that they've been taught this morning. And then I know they're going to go through the basic life support. So please ask any questions you've got in the chat. We have got the rest of the team watching who'll be able to answer. Remember, we are on social media. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we are new to TikTok. So look out for some TikTok videos. And are you ready, ladies? Give us a like, give us a love, and give us a share on social media. So we'll just hang on for one of the ladies. Give us a share. So, Ms. Atkins, yeah, I'm just like, I'll give you a call. And if you feel that is your distress or you're not able to call, then I'll be informed. Or if I'm not available, one of the nurses. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes. I will ensure that I will document whatever I have done for the patient
I've already explained to him the procedure, to do what to do after the catheter.
So you can see here
So
watching the
go-
scenarios that you have to really verbalise everything you're doing, which does feel a little bit false. But that's what you need to do for your OSCE exam, is verbalise everything. You wouldn't normally do that if it was a bit unnatural, but that's what's required.
See this? 4 minutes, 25 seconds. I have 4 minutes, 25 seconds.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, Charlene, we're currently live at the moment, and I know that you kindly volunteered to go through the basic life support
Yes.
skills station.
Yes.
So, Charlene, are you you're at the Royal Devon Nexa, aren't you?
Yes.
And you're on your second week of your OSCE training.
True.
And how are you finding it so far?
The training here is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, they're training us like every bit of it,
Yes.
step by step. So we are given lots of training,
Yeah.
lots of practice going on. I really liked it because it kind of each step, like if it's an API assessment, they went
Yes.
it step by step.
Yeah.
Assessment, planning, implementation, evaluation, and that was really clear.
Yes.
And we were given loads of practice. At the same time, we are going with the skills part by part. So every day we are practicing 2 skills at a time.
Excellent.
So
and it feels very thorough because it's a 3-week program,
Yes.
full time. So you really get this opportunity to keep practicing. And I know they've got a really exceptional teaching team here.
the team is
Lovely Charlotte and Tim.
Keith is here around, as well as Suzanne.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Shazam. So I know they're fully supportive. So we're going to watch you do the skills station. So basic life support. Would one of you mind taking feedback, and then we will watch you give feedback? Is that okay?
The one for the airway as well.
Okay, are you happy to do the airway? Lovely,
She will
right.
give the feedback.
Okay, so we're going to just be here and watch you. Try and speak up, okay, so that we can hear the
Actually,
audience.
we have a mannequin there.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
yeah, you can come over here.
Move stations.
Do you have the CPR?
Yeah,
For the feedback.
Yeah.
So we'll be giving also the feedback, like feedback, how the compressions are going on.
I don't mind doing CPR. If you need me to do CPR,
No, I will do the CPR.
fine. So just explain what you're doing there, Charlene. Is that a piece of software?
Yeah, it's actually a piece of software which is called Cube CPR Training.
Yeah.
That's where we place it over the mannequin to get the connection, and
Yes.
so it gives us the real feedback. It's like a feedback device at the rate of compressions that you're giving. It will give you an idea of the rate,
Yeah.
the depth,
Yeah.
as well as the recoil.
Fantastic.
So
Great.
that ensures that you are giving an effective CPR.
Great.
for
And
your
that's it.
patient.
That's a really good training aid, isn't it?
Yes. I think the mannequin is not selecting. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
My arms just get
Yes.
so perfect. Sometimes they switch off here. Horizontal. Yeah. Just connect it. Connect.
So we're just setting up the station now with the software.
Okay, so now the software has been
Little
connected.
Annie, there it is.
Yeah, I can just show you a short demo
Yeah.
before we start the whole
Okay.
scenario. So for example, if you are going to give the CPR, so it shows this will be the depth.
Yeah.
This is the recoil.
Great. So that
Okay.
shows you if you're doing effective CPR or not. Yeah.
And also it can also calculate the ventilation.
Yes.
So if there's a good chest rise or not, it will give you an idea.
Fantastic. Great.
So here, if you place, it's just a short demo. So just for a trial now.
There we are, look.
4, 5.
And you see the meter there going up?
10,
There we are.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Great. Yeah, that was effective CPR.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is how all the trainings, when they are doing their CPR, so they are aware that they need to go, because in the OSCE examination, we are assessed based on this.
Fantastic.
So
Lovely.
it's a live demo for us.
Absolutely. And yeah, and it knows if you need to go a little bit harder or less hard, that's great.
So we know where we stand. And
Yes.
counting the compressions are also very important.
Yes.
So we know the pace at which we are going.
And count out loud.
Because the tick here, it shows either if you're going too slow, it will fall down.
Yes.
If you're going too fast, it will go on the opposite side.
Wonderful.
So
okay.
we need to be in the center.
Yeah.
All.
Great. Thank you.
So are we ready for the?
We are ready when you are.
Usually it should show because we have not done the, so at last it gives you. But the problem here, I think, with the mannequins, they're not getting the effective.
No, the bagging, yeah.
The bagging,
yeah.
Like as I said, it will also calculate the ventilation.
Okay, that's good.
So I'll just. The problem is there is no chest rise.
Yeah.
Usually, we usually use the EC clamp technique. So you need to have a proper seal.
Yeah.
Then you just tilt the head slightly.
Yeah.
Because it's a mannequin.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, there is a kink here.
Yeah.
So that's why we are not getting the effective chest rise. Usually it should be.
That's fine.
So that's the only difference. So you will be at the airway, and you will be the person whom I will call for assistance as well. And you will be the assessor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Do we need to time ourselves, or that's just?
You can do, yeah, but don't worry too much. It's just to see a rough idea of a run through.
Okay. So would you like to hold this?
I can hold it.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Okay, team ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, assessor ready?
Yeah.
So I'm ensuring that the scene is safe for me to practice. Okay, I'm approaching my patient. He is unconscious at this point. Hello, hello, are you okay?
He's not responding.
So there's no response. Help, someone help. I'm going to press the call bell. There is no help. Okay, when help arrives. Now I'm going to open the airway to check if there is any visual obstructions. I'm looking at the airway, I don't see anything. I'll open it by head tilt, chin lift. Okay, now I'm going to check the breathing and the pulse simultaneously. Look, listen and feel for the breathing and check for the pulse. 1, 2, 3,
He's
4,
not breathing.
5. No breathing, no pulse. Okay, I'll start CPR and wait for my help to arrive. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Effective.
Please, can you call?
Effective compressions.
Can you call the team, please? 222. Okay, and also bring the resuscitation trolley. Kindly please call the team.
Okay. We are calling to the
4,
triple 2
5,
for
6,
raise and
7,
report
8,
in
9,
the
10,
recovery room,
11,
and we need
12,
the
13,
resuscitation
14,
team here.
15,
We are bringing
16,
the resuscitation trolley here.
20, 21.
I have the ambu bag.
Do you have the ambu bag? Please connect it to 15 liters oxygen.
15-liter oxygen connected to the ambu bag.
4, 5.
And
When
air
you're
is
ready, let
ready.
me know.
Okay, I'm ready.
29, 30.
Okay. Maintaining. Breath 1. Breath 2.
And
Even.
CPR.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
C&E. One breath. Second breath.
CPR.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So my hand.
Help is here. Yes, we have switched the role.
That
2,
completions.
3, 4.
1, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Effective
10,
completions.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Effective completion period. Continuous.
30.
2 breaths. 1, 2. Hands on the chest.
1, 2,
Continuous
3,
CPR.
4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. 2 breaths. 1, 2.
Yeah.
So the scenario is ended. You can ask the questions.
So, what would you do now if the patient shows the signs of life?
So if my patient is showing me signs of life, I'll try to put my patient in the recovery position.
Good.
Okay.
Why might you stop the resuscitation attempt if the patient is showing signs of life?
Why would I?
Stop resuscitation attempt if the patient is showing the signs of
If
life.
he doesn't show, you
Yeah.
mean, okay. If he doesn't show signs of life, I'll wait for the decision from the resuscitation team.
Okay.
Or if it's in danger, then I will.
What are the 4 H's and T's?
Okay, there are 4 H's and T's that can cause cardiac arrest in the patient. So the 4 H's are hypovolemia,
Okay.
hypoxia, hyperkalemia, hypothermia.
Okay, and T's?
But also there are other causes. Usually people don't know. So we can say hydrogen ion acidosis as well, okay, and hypoglycemia. When we have the next 4 T's, the T's are, it could be because of thrombosis.
Yeah.
Thrombosis could be pulmonary or coronary. It could be cardiac tamponade. It could be tension in the thorax or toxins. So these are the 4 T's.
Okay. How would you maintain the open airway?
As I said, if it is a medical case, you can go with the head tilt, chin lift.
Okay.
Or if it's a trauma case, then we can do the jaw thrust maneuver. Just open the jaw like this. So you can
Yeah,
do the
very
jaw
good.
thrust.
We have done with
Very
the
good.
CPR.
Thank you very much. Well done, Charlie. Well done, team. That was great. So that just demonstrated the scenario of basic life support. And you can see the software that is used to show if you're given effective CPR.
Amazing.
Yeah,
really
so
good.
based on this, I guess our score is 74%.
Great.
Yeah, we could have done much more better because the ventilations were not calculating. If that would be there, it would always increase the chances.
It's a really good idea, isn't it, of whether you're given effective CPR?
Yeah, because here it shows that we are having a good chest recoil, which is very, very important for an effective CPR.
Yeah.
And the depth, we can work on it. So this is how we can give the feedback to our students.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for volunteering, and you've earned your cake at break time, all right?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're just going to go back along the corridor now and have a quick chat with Henry. So Henry is one of our nurses that works in North Devon, and he's been here for a couple of months. Now, because Henry knows that he's going to have a short interview, he's dressed very smartly today.
Dressed for the
Just for the
occasion.
occasion. Henry, are you happy to have a quick chat with the webinar? Don't be nervous, come on. No, I'm just saying how smart you look today.
Yes.
Super smart.
So, Henry, tell us when you arrived in Devon.
I came on the 29th of March.
Yeah,
This year.
great. And you're just on your 2nd week of your training at the moment, aren't you? And obviously, so tell us, how did you find the process coming through the Devon International Recruitment Alliance?
So I saw the link online,
Yeah,
and then I applied for that. I sent in my CV,
yes,
and then I've written my IELTS as of that time,
yeah,
my CBT. So I just submitted that, and within I think 3 days, I had a feedback that I've been booked for an interview.
Yeah.
And I was so amazed because before that I had tried several times on the portal and I was not getting any feedback. So I was extremely happy. By God's grace, after 3 days, I had the interview and I passed the interview, and it took less than let me say 3 weeks me to get my COS. So I was so amazed.
So from interview to COS, that was 3 weeks.
Yes.
So you were very happy with that.
Very, very happy.
Great. And how have you found support? Because we do lots of WhatsApp chats and webinars. How have you found all of that, Henry?
Okay, so I think before, even after the interview, I was watching the webinars almost all the time. And that really helped me to even decided to choose North Devon because of I heard about the tourist size, the cool environment and everything. So it helped me to even decide choosing of Devon. And when I came, I wasn't disappointed at all. The place is really nice. The people are friendly. And I visited one of the beaches, the Falcon, and it was nice and lovely.
Oh, you've been to Ilfracombe?
Yeah.
Did you see Verity statue?
Yes, I saw that. The place was really nice, and
Right.
I'm enjoying the place.
Great. So no regrets.
No regret at all.
Great.
So, and the place I'm working, AMAU, the staffs are very helpful. Our line manager, Jane, has organized some of in-service training for all the new recruits. So she will book and will meet us. So most of the OSCE training we are doing here, she has already introduced us to them. It is really helping us.
Good. And we're hoping that your wife is going to join us very soon, aren't we? Yeah.
My wife is a midwife. Yes, and also in the process, I've contacted them and they're making arrangements for that so that she can join me as soon as possible.
Right. So, and any advice for anyone thinking of coming to work in Devon?
I think it will be the greatest, how should I put it, thing to do. If you have any other option, I think you should choose you should choose Devon over any other options that you've got, because the support is there. You get help, and I bet you the OSCE are going to pass because we have the excellence of OSCE trainers. You are definitely going to pass, so you are not going to fail. So I think you should choose Devon. It's going to help you.
Thank you so much, Henry.
All right.
Thank you, Henry.
Right, so really good to catch up with Henry, one of our nurses, who is absolutely loving being in Devon, and that's a really good.
Thank you, Laura, for the wonderful presentation. And now there are a few queries from the candidates, basically starting with, like, maybe we have split the video into two, so that's why they may have this query, they might be having this query. So the question is, how many minutes will be provided for each stations? Like you say, like 10 procedures we have to. So how many minutes will be provided for each like stations?
Okay, it varies, but it's between 3 and 5 minutes.
Fine, 3 to 5 minutes for, depends on the stations. It may vary from 3 to 5 minutes, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and another question is, are all the, because we have 10 stations we mentioned, so all these stations on a particular day, or it will in different days?
No, the exam takes place on one day. So the exam is, I think it's about 3 hours long, the exam, when you go off for your exam, and you do it all within that session.
Okay, so it's a 3-hour session. So like some of sessions will be in 1 hour, other sessions maybe in the other day also is possible.
Sorry, do you mean when they take their exam or when they have their training?
No, no training, no training. The question is regarding the exam, sorry. The question is regarding the examination. Will it be on the same day, the total procedures like assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation will be held in the same day or in different days?
No,
Same day.
it's all done in that one exam slot, everything.
One exam slot. Okay, fine. So the question is already answered, like it's around 3 hours, the exam will be. And another question is regarding what is partial OSCE and how many partial OSCEs can be given by a candidate? Because I believe that you have mentioned only 3 OSCE attempts are permitted. And also in the last session, the same question I feel we have seen in the last time also. So maybe I believe that her question will be whether they have to fail in full 3 OSCE, or if they have some partial OSCEs, if partial OSCE failure also will be considered as a failure, or how it will be.
Okay, so if you fail on your first sitting, when you go back for your second exam, you only have to pass what you failed. So for example, if you've passed 9 OSCE stations on your first exam, but you failed, I don't know, fluid balance chart station, you only have to go back and sit that station again. So for those people that fail on their first attempt, it's much easier when they go in again because they're only doing what they failed.
Okay, so the query is, like, suppose the one station they missed. So if again this the second attempt they are going to give the one station which they missed, if that failed in the second attempt, again, they have gone for the one station for the third time. So that also will consider as an OSCE fail, or they need to fail in complete OSCE. That's their question.
So if they go back on a second time and they fail, so a nurse has gone in and had her first OSCE exam, they failed one station on fluid balance chart. So on the second sitting, they would go and resit that one OSCE station. If they fail it again, they would have to go back for a third attempt and retake it again, the fluid balance chart.
Okay, now the query is clear. So whether it is partial failure or full failure, even the partial also will be considered as a failure. And if the third attempt is completed, then they will be losing all the attempts. Okay, clear. So another one is like, the question is like, if a candidate failed in all the attempts, three attempts, so it will be, hopefully they have to return back to India, or the attempt within 8 months it has to be completed, so they will be back to. But if they what is the process for them to come back? That's their question.
Now the thing is, because if they fail their OSCE 3 times, they have to then have a gap of 6 months before they try to sit the OSCE again, and that's from the Nursing and Midwifery Council. So that's why we say it's very likely that they would have to go home. Now, please be assured, like I said, I've known of one case where that has happened in 6 years. And Tracy, I'm sure you'll agree with me, it's very rare that someone fails 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm only aware of one person, to be honest, and I've been doing international recruitment for many years, so it is extremely rare for that to happen.
Okay.
And
okay.
for that instance, so for the very exceptional time that happened, I mean, to be honest, if a nurse has failed the OSCE 3 times and then they're then in a position where they've had to go home, I would need to have a conversation with that nurse, because for me, why are they failing 3 times? So we would really need to look at the practice of that nurse.
Fine. So because these are the questions they have from there. And another question which we received is, what is the difference between adult and pediatric OSCE? So if you can explain, like, is there any common factors in these OSCEs? Because anything, because like some of the questions when we go for the CBT, some of the like NMC code, ethics, these are somewhat common for CBT for almost all the CBTs except the specialty area. So likewise, is there anything common in the adult as well as in the pediatric OSCE? Likewise, if you can club mental health also, and what differs from each OSCEs?
So in terms of the sort of the specialist OSCEs for pediatric and mental health, so there will be some common themes in terms of resuscitation, but it will obviously be peds resus, administration of medicines, but for peds. So it would just be very much tailored towards peds or mental health. And I'm not a peds or mental health OSCE trainer, but so I can't give you too much information about them, unfortunately.
Okay, so the next question is regarding in CPR role play. We shown in a video there were 3 stars on the day of OSCE exam. How will we get the team members? Do we need to convince others to help us, or selection of team members and their roles will be random?
Yeah, it's a really good question. No, the examiners will be in the room. So you'll have one examiner in there with you. There may be an observer, but you won't need to ask your mates to come along. It's all sorted.
Okay, so that will be provided from the exam area.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So because maybe they have seen like they're looking like friends and they are helping each other. So maybe there's a stranger anxiety maybe the candidates will have. So that's why they want to know if they have the possibility, they can call their best friends to assist with them and they can get the support during the OSCE. Maybe that's the question might be. So these are the questions, Tracy, at present we have. And also one more question is whether pediatric and midwifery also will have 10 stations mandatory, or there will be, the stations will be high or less?
I think it's around the same, but again, I can get back to you. Let me find out some more information. So the midwifery OSCE is quite a new OSCE, and you know we can access an area in the southwest for midwives who want to take their OSCE training. But let me get some more information on that, and I'll get it back to you.
Yeah, and this question is to Victoria. I didn't started the session, but still before that, I need to ask a question to Victoria, because there's a question from one of the attendees is like, we have mentioned that after 3 chances of OSCE, once they fail, the candidate has to be back. But his query is, anyway, she is in, or he or she is in UK, and can she go for a caregiver or like healthcare assistant or caregiver? And after 6 months, can they join back, or can they do the retest again? I mean, 2 questions. One is for Victoria and one is for Carly. About the retest is for Carly. And second thing is to Victoria, like suppose if they fail in 3 attempts, so can they go for a senior caregiver or healthcare assistant? Is that possible?
Well, in the very, very rare occasions where a nurse might have failed their OSCE on 3 attempts, it would be possible, as far as I'm aware. Tracy, Carly, shout if this is not the case, but it would be possible for the nurse to apply for and successfully secure a role as a senior caregiver, as you mentioned, or healthcare assistant potentially. But yes, there is that minimum 6 month waiting period before they would be allowed to retry for their OSCE. So it would be possible. Yes, it's a good question, but yeah, the key part is that 6 month gap before the nurse is able to try again for their OSCE.
So Carly, so they will be, they can be back to NMC again. So it's not mandatory that like they have to, sorry, is it mandatory that they have to restart the process NMC from the initial stage to get the OSCE, or they can reactivate their second stage? First stage they have completed, CBT is completed, so only second stage where they have failed for the OSCE. So what is the step? They have to come again from the initial, from the stage 1 to till the OSCE area, or they can directly approach the NMC for sitting for OSCE?
So bearing in mind, this is very rare. I don't want us to fixate on these 3 failed attempts. So because I've only known of 1 nurse, in my experience with that 1 nurse as an exception, it depended on the expiry dates on CBT and all the rest of it. So that has to be taken into account. But because this is so rare, we're not familiar with that. So I hope that's reassuring.
Yeah, so that's a very wonderful answer, and you have specifically mentioned about the CBT. Thank you, because the CBT also shall be valid, because otherwise, once the CBT is expired, they have to come again with all the processes.
Correct.
So thank you,
Correct.
Carly. So I'm giving you some relaxation. Maybe there will be more questions, because this is mainly on OSCE.
That's fine.
So thank you, Carly. And now we have Ms. Victoria Stone, the International Recruiting Manager, to brief about the recruitment process, and we request you to highlight the major attractions of Devon, because in our one webinar when we had conducted in a few months before, we have very clearly we mentioned that what is different from other, because you are giving a complete relocation package. So please give other importance also, saying like what are the benefits as well as how you care them, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ajinas. And it wasn't that OSCE demonstration previously fantastic with some really good questions. So thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be able to talk to you today. Thank you for the opportunity. So why come to Devon? Well, we are very proud, actually. We have worked hard and put together the Devon offer, as you can see on your screens. Thank you, Laura, for sharing that. So we actually recruit for, 5 trusts, really, 5 different hospitals in the Devon area, and all 5 will give you the same package offer that I'm just about to talk about, because it has been agreed across all trusts, which is a real point of difference for us. So we recruit for the different hospitals, and you will receive the same wonderful care package, no matter which hospital you work at: Plymouth, Royal Devon Exeter, North Devon, Torbay, or indeed the Devon Partnership Trust, which is the mental health arm. So what do we offer you? Okay, so we pay for your flight to the UK. Carly mentioned previously that it is important for your own well-being. Actually, this experience tells us that you as an individual nurse are far better. We recommend really that you come to the UK initially by yourself to focus on your OSCE training, get a bit settled in, etc., before potentially bringing family members over to the UK with you, although you have the right to do that, but that's our recommendation. So we pay for your flight to the UK. We also, when you arrive, we have somebody waiting, a friendly taxi driver that we use, waving with or with a sign, to pick you up from the airport. So we call it airport transfers, obviously. We set up bank accounts for you, or support you to set up bank accounts. We provide SIM cards with credit on them when you initially arrive, and we provide what says food vouchers. Depending on which hospital you go to, you will provided food for your initial stay, perhaps an online order that the trust will have done for you. So you are literally, you get on, as long as you don't miss your plane, and even then we help, but don't miss your plane, and then we will, it's a smooth process, pick you up at the airport, bring you down to lovely Devon, sort you out with a phone so you can say, yes, I've arrived safely, food, everyone's a winner. Then I've mentioned bringing your family over to the UK if appropriate. Not everybody wants to or has family to bring, but if you choose to do that, you have absolutely the right. And we will support you with applying for a visa for your family to join you in the UK. It's a question of a specific letter to accompany your online application, etc. So it's straightforward, but we will support is provided for that. When you arrive in the UK, we, no matter which hospital trust you work at, you will be provided for accommodation for your first 2 months for free. Now that's wonderful. The accommodation is on site. Some hospitals have purpose-built accommodation, others secure apartments in the local area, just depending, but free accommodation for your first 2 months with us. Again, so you can focus on getting through your wonderful OSCE, and also settling in, getting to know the area a little bit. It's just really helpful that you haven't got to think about your accommodation for the first couple of months, and obviously you're saving that cost. When you get your UK visa, as soon as you come to the UK, you have the entitlement, the same as any other sort of UK citizen, to free healthcare. And if you have children, should they join you over in the UK, schools are also free to attend. We have great schools generally within the Devon area, Devon being an absolutely, well, it's lovely. It's also very safe. The school standards are excellent. We don't have, on the whole, some of the problems and issues that perhaps some of the bigger cities, you know, London and that kind of thing, well, you expect that. So sending your children to school in the UK is, in Devon specifically, is a really great thing to do. I've done it with my son, who's now 18. How did that happen? But yes, so I can absolutely recommend the local school will be of good standard and it's free. When you arrive, as soon as you arrive in the UK, the recruitment team of the hospital that you are working at will ask you for your receipts, etc., so that they can reimburse you for some of the costs that you've had to spend or outlay in order to get to the UK. So I'm talking about your IELTS or your OET examination costs, your NMC registration, your CBT exam. All of that stuff will be reimbursed to you, and that will happen quickly within the first sort of few weeks of your arrival, which is really great. So you get that back. Obviously, we've talked about quite a lot about OSCE training and support. that costs you nothing. The OSCE training and support is provided by the hospital trust that you are working at. And I hope we've really put across to you how comprehensive, how full and genuinely meaningful, supportive the OSCE training and support you will receive is. We absolutely want you to succeed. We want you to settle in. We want you to be this. We want this to be a good experience for you. So yes, full OSCE training and support is given. Obviously, I've mentioned there are no fees to pay for your OSCE. The trust provides all of your OSCE for all of your OSCE needs, shall we say. Obviously, when you are working as a nurse in the UK, there is lots of opportunity. Should you want to, it's not obligatory. It's not, you know, should you choose to, you can work for paid overtime, perhaps bank holiday hours, different shifts, overtime shifts, and you will receive additional money, additional shift premium payments for that. So there is the opportunity to not only earn your salary, but to do additional hours if you want to, and get extra money for that. We are very proud, actually, that we recognise, this is within Devon, within our Devon offer, we have agreement with all of our hospitals that we will recognise your previous experience that you have gained as a registered nurse outside of the NHS. So when you become a band 5 nurse, that's when you've got your OSCE PIN, depending on how much experience as a registered nurse you have gained, in this case in India, I'm speaking mostly to people in India, then we will reflect that in your band 5 salary. So there are 3 points. There is the entry point, the sort of midpoint, and then the top of the range. To get to the top of the range, you will have to have gained a minimum of 8 years experience as a registered nurse in your home country, and then you would literally join at the top of the band 5 range. So that is a real selling point for us, as it were, if I can put it like that, because that's not the case with other trusts, but it is the case within Devon. Now, the full pastoral care package. So we have worked, as mainly Carly and Laura from our team, who are both on this call today, or both on the webinar, we have worked extremely hard to put together a pastoral care package that really stands us out from other providers that you may have come across. We are not an agency, we are in-house working for, we are all employed by the NHS, so just to make that very clear as well. And you will be looked after as an individual nurse, and also as part of a group, a cohort, as we call it, via WhatsApp, usually before you get on your flight. Any queries you have are dealt with by our team very quickly, whether it be Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, lots of ways to contact us. There are many webinars available that you can look at on our YouTube channel, which has got so much information to support you before you come to the UK and help you to make your decision, perhaps on which hospital you might prefer to work at within Devon. And then once you've arrived in the UK, our pastoral team look after you, make sure that your transition has been smooth, answer any queries you may have, and also have an interest in your development within your role and your longer career development. So really full pastoral care package, which we're very proud of. Right, I feel like I've spoken a lot. Okay, would you mind moving on to the next slide, please, Laura? Thank you. So how do you get to work with us, I suppose? So the recruitment process, okay. Your first step is to submit your application, your CV, and ideally if you've got your IELTS and OET, then that's fantastic, but submit your application via, of course, our wonderful colleagues. So that's tnai recruitment@gmail.com. So provide your application to them and they will forward it to us. We then screen, so look at your CV basically, and your any other accompanying documentation that you may have. And then our lovely admin team will contact our colleagues at the TNAI, you will be booked in for an interview. That's the key bit, isn't it? Now, usually the time frame, it says on the bottom, but the time frame from when you get your application in to when you'll be contacted and booked in for an interview, providing that you are a registered nurse with a minimum of 6 months experience and your IELTS or OET has already been completed, we will book you in for interview, and we aim to get this portion completed within a 2-week period. Your interview, it will take place over Teams, so you will receive a Teams link to your interview in your emails. And we always have at least one registered nurse, experienced registered nurse, senior nurse, so clinical person on the interview panel. And then it's usually 2 senior experienced nurses that will interview you. Sometimes it's one of the recruitment team, so you might see my face pop up or one of my colleagues on the webinar today. We have a set of standard interview questions. We are absolutely not trying to catch you out. We will be asking you questions about scenarios that you will come across in your day-to-day lives as registered nurses. And we just want you to be able to tell us a little bit about your experience there. And we hope we really hope to have a successful outcome for you for the interview. Once you've completed your interview, you will get your outcome via email. We aim to do it within 48 hours actually of your interview taking place. Sometimes it may take up to a week. If there is a bank holiday, for example, I'm thinking we have a bank holiday coming up because of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, so that starts tomorrow. So sometimes things like that may get in the way, but we do aim to provide you with an outcome very quickly. If you are not successful, we will provide you with some feedback, and then you have a 6-month waiting period before, if you choose to then reapply, so you gain some more clinical experience and you can try again if you want to after 6 months has gone by. If you've been successful, that's fantastic. You will receive a first offer letter from us, which is our Devon offer letter, which basically says that you've been successful in your role. Congratulations, gives you some information about the documentation then you will need to be providing for your for the next step, which obviously is your certificate of sponsorship. But this says we are offering a role to you, and it could be at this point, it could be at any of our Devon hospital trusts, so that could be Plymouth, Exeter, North Devon, or Torbay, or indeed mental health, if that's what you're trained in and want to do. So yes, so it could be at any of the hospitals at this stage, right? That's all good stuff. If you wouldn't mind, thank you very much, Laura. So what we then would like you to do is to accept your offer. So at the moment you can email back your acceptance to us. We're moving to, I believe soon, fingers crossed, an online acceptance. But anyway, so yes, accept the offer, please. Then it is really important. This is where sometimes we lose time. We get that it's a bit, there's a lot of work involved for your good selves on this part, but we have to have, or you do need to submit a full list of documents to us in order that we can move to the certificate of sponsorship or COS stage. So that includes things like your TB certificate, your police clearance, your nursing degree qualification, your nursing registration certificate. It's all listed in the offer letter that we will have already sent to you at this stage. The sooner you get your documentation, including those 2 referees, that's really important. So 2 people who can provide a clinical reference for you. We need that information as soon as possible, because as soon as we have received all of that documentation, including the 2 references, you are COS ready. Hooray! Now we can turn that around in a week. However, in my experience, it can take longer because we're chasing referees, things like that. So any help you can give us to get that documentation part sorted as quickly as possible will really help us. But actually, it really helps you because it means we can move you quickly through the process towards your certificate of sponsorship. I'm assuming that's what you want. So on to the next slide, please, Laura. Great. So once you have submitted all of the documentation to us that we need for you to be COS ready, in the meantime, we will be talking to the hospitals that we deal with. Also, we will be in contact with your good selves. We ask that you do some research and see if you have a preference to work at one of the hospitals. If you don't mind, if you would say I'll work at any, that's also fine, because then the hospitals will be telling us, we're in constant contact with them, they'll be telling us what needs they have in terms of vacancies, on which wards, etc. So we will absolutely work very hard to match your sort of location preference. If you say to me, oh, I really want to work at Torbay Hospital, we will do everything we can to get you into the next deployment to Torbay Hospital. On the rare occasions where it's really important to a nurse that they are deployed very quickly, sometimes they may have to work at a trust that may not be their first choice, if I can put it like that. But that's rare. We normally are able to match you with your preference. If you have no preference, we will speak to the hospital and say, oh, would you like to work at Plymouth, or would you like to work at North Devon? So we just make it happen, basically, with you and with the hospitals. That's how we do it. Okay, when we have agreed which hospital you're going to work at, the final bit of offer information, if you like, that we will email to you is what we call a hospital specific offer letter. So the first offer letter that we've already sent to you a couple of weeks ago, by that stage we'll say, well, you know, welcome, well, congratulations, we're offering you a role in Devon. The final trust specific offer letter will just say, congratulations, we're offering you a role, and at the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital, or at the University Hospital Plymouth. And it also lists out what all the costs that will be reimbursed to you. It's a full sort of offer letter that will be reflected in your contract of employment on your first day, basically, when you get to the UK. So that mirrors that. Okay, so it's, if you could accept that, whiz that one back to us, then the trust is able to issue your certificate of sponsorship. You will receive that via us. So the trust provides us with the certificates of sponsorship. We then send that to you, because we are then able to provide you with information about how to approach getting your visa and getting that all sorted and paid for, etc. So I think this is time frame 1 week, can be done in a week. Sometimes there are a couple of delays with the trust issuing causes. We do ask them to issue causes as soon as possible. Occasionally they may be waiting a couple of days if they're trying to issue a group of nurses causes all at once, because they have to make payment, etc. So sometimes they can wait a couple of days, but we do encourage them to issue your cause as soon as possible. Okay, so, and we're always talking to you, we're always there to answer any queries. So thank you, Laura. Wondrous. Okay, so now we get to, you will have received your cause from us. Great news, you can now apply for your visa, so that's wonderful. We send you the link as part of our email when we send you the cause, along with next steps and some tips. So you apply for your visa online. It's the UK skilled worker visa, and once you get to the point where your visa application needs to be paid for, then you will have set up a password. You will also have a link to log back into that visa application. Now you can get that if you log out and then go into your emails, you will see a link has been sent to you by the UK Visa and Immigration Service. So it's that link we need, plus your password. Send that to us, please. We then liaise with the hospital trust for payment. We get that visa paid. That normally happens very quickly, within a day or two. We inform you of that. You can then log back into your visa application, which will have been paid for, and you can set up your visa biometrics appointment. When you have that visa biometrics appointment date, we ask that you share that date with us, because that's really moved along very quickly. Time frame 1 week, absolutely, that's realistic, absolutely. You can move on to the next slide, please. That's great. So as soon as you have your biometrics appointment in the calendar, as it were, and attend that, then we know your visa will be issued by the UK Visa and Immigration Service to you within a few weeks of that appointment, which is why we asked for the dates. So we're all desperately keen to know when your visa is going to come through, as I'm sure you will be. It was taking sort of 2 to 3 weeks for a visa to be turned around. We do have the unfortunate situation in Ukraine to consider at the moment. So I can share with you that there have been some delays to visas arriving. When I say delays, that may add another couple of weeks to the visa being issued. So yes, do bear that in mind. We are always flexible. We do understand the bigger picture. We know these things are out of your control and our control. And so we just will keep reassuring you, stay in contact with us, and we're flexible. We will support you through all of this stuff. Your visa arrives, hurrah! We are genuinely delighted for you and for us, obviously, but for you in particular when your visa comes through. We ask that you email a picture of the sort of photo stamp page of your passport, along with your UK Visa and Immigration, there's a cover letter that comes with it. If you just snap a picture of those, email those to us, please. Then we can let the trust know that your visa has been received. The trust is then able to make contact with your good selves directly to book your flight and make any other arrangements that you might have in order to get you to the UK. Okay, so the trust will sort all of your flight details. We're still there. You're also in direct contact now with the hospital you're going to work at. And as it says, you're on your way to Devon. So that really is fantastic. You'll get flight dates as soon as the trust is able to share them with you. Some trusts are very flexible. Other trusts say, for example, we will deploy nurses on the, don't quote me on this date, but for example, on the 15th of every month. So it just depends on the trust. But you know, any issues that arise, we will always work with you to overcome them. So please be reassured. This is the good bit. You're nearly on your way. Super, thank you. Great. So yes, from interview to deployment. So we aim to have a turnaround time. So from your first interview to when you're actually getting on a flight to the UK, or know when your flight is, to be about 8 to 10 weeks. Sometimes I would add another up to 4 weeks perhaps onto that at the moment, simply to factor in factors such as the situation on Ukraine. But yeah, 8 to 10 weeks is absolutely realistic. It depends. Usually the time frame will depend on how quickly you can get your documentation to us. So I've mentioned all that: TB certificate, police certificate, 2 referees that will respond to us quickly, all of that good stuff. But we will provide you with a full list of that. I don't expect you to remember that from this webinar. But the sooner you can get that documentation in place to us, then that means we can get onto your certificate of sponsorship. So it's all about that. Absolutely, please stay in touch, which all of our nurses do anyway. But we are here to support you. We're here to answer your questions. We're excited for you. And you know, we just want this to be as good an experience as it can be for you. That's what we're here for. Yeah, do your research. So we do have the different hospital locations within our Devon, which is like a state. So Devon is like a state, I suppose. And we don't, you know, the UK is not such a big country as you know, compared to India, for example. But Devon is what we call a county, so a state. So it's worth looking at the different areas and deciding if you have a preference where you might want to live. Again, though, as I've said previously, if you're flexible and you don't mind, that's also fine. We'll help you with that. Be excited. Well, it's difficult to be more excited than we get, but yes, definitely be excited. We are so pleased when we see each cohort coming in. Laura and Carly are there doing the pastoral support. And yes, we all talk about it as a team. We know your names. You know, it's really great. it's kind of like a big family, really, in many ways. Okay, thank you, Laura. So this is, you know, probably worth covering, isn't it? So where is Devon? Okay, so as you can see, there's a map of the UK and Ireland. In fact, Devon is the lovely yellow part there. So we are down in the southwest of England. You can see a more detailed map there on the right-hand side, obviously. We are actually a holiday area, a holiday destination for the rest of the UK. Our climate is a bit milder than say being up north, well, a lot milder actually than certain places up north. And because we have two coastlines and wonderful beaches, etc., we are a major holiday destination for people living anywhere else in the UK, from, you know, London to all the way up to Scotland. Most people will have memories of coming to Devon or perhaps our neighbouring county right down at the bottom, Cornwall, but certainly Devon and Cornwall. They will say, oh yes, I had childhood holidays there, went there with my family, stayed there in a caravan, stayed there in a hotel. Really popular holiday area. It's beautiful here in Devon. It's absolutely beautiful. On the map in the right hand side, you can see the main sort of areas that we're recruiting for. So look, there's Plymouth, right on the sea there, with a big maritime tradition, big sort of naval. There's still a naval base there now, actually, but lots of history to do with sailing and obviously shipbuilding, that kind of thing. Torquay is just there a little bit further up. That's also on the coast. I'm actually talking to you from, I live in the Torbay area, and it is a town. It's a very nice town right on the coast. There is a beach here in Torquay and access to lots of other beaches. It's a really lovely place to live, you know, good schools. My son's been at school here, as I said, and he's hopefully doing very well, doing some exams at the moment, but there we go. He's enjoyed it. Exeter is a city, really nice city. It's not too big. So Plymouth and Exeter are our city locations. Torquay and Barnstaple are more towns. Yeah, so Exeter is a really nice city. It's got lots of sort of things to do at night, lots of nice restaurants, all that kind of thing. It's got a really interesting 11th century cathedral there. So lots to do and see in Exeter. I really like it actually as a city. As I said, neither Plymouth or Exeter are too big to handle, you know, it's not like a London or a Birmingham, that they're a good size. So you get sort of the best of both worlds, if you like, get city living, but you're also very close to some wonderful countryside and to the sea. And then at the top there you have Barnstaple, which is one of our key locations within our North Devon area. So it's on the other side of the coastline. It's known for its absolutely stunning beaches, world-class surfing, would you believe? And it's more rural, but it's absolutely stunning. But the whole area of Devon is beautiful. It's a holiday area. Most people within the UK would love to come and live and work in Devon. So we're the lucky ones. So yes, thank you very much, Laura. Yes, so it's worth knowing. So with us being in the southwest, you know, what does that mean for you? Should you want to travel back home or travel to see others that you may know within the UK? Okay, so London to Devon or Devon to London, depending which way you look at it. 4 hours drive or train. I would say 4 hours is realistic because there can be traffic, particularly in the holiday season in the summer. However, I would say the train to London is a little bit less than that. Often, if you can get direct train from Exeter, I think you can do it in around 3 hours. I'll say around 3 hours, so that's not too bad. Devon to Scotland, well, Scotland's right at the other end of the UK. So yeah, that will be, for us, it's a long way. So that's a 9-hour drive or 8 or 9 hours by train, but it's doable. Within Devon, now, we are a county, as we've said previously. However, if you've got friends, colleagues, family at a different location within Devon, you're not that far away, particularly if you come from a country like India, where the spaces can be so much bigger. So Exeter to Torbay, 45 minutes drive. I would say less than that on the train. There are direct trains from Exeter to Torbay. Exeter to Plymouth is about an hour, with about an hour's train ride, forgive me. Torbay to Plymouth, yes, 1 hour drive, absolutely. It's actually 50 minutes. I'm going to be very pedantic because I did it a couple of weeks ago. And there are regular trains. Exeter to Barnstable, about an hour's drive. And then obviously there are trains again between Exeter and Barnstable. And if you want to get a train from Barnstable, say to Plymouth, you might have to change at Exeter because Exeter's a major train transport hub. But it's doable, and nothing's more than sort of hour and a half, maximum 2 hours if the trains are delayed or whatever. So that's what to expect. Oh yeah, Barnstable to Torbay, an hour and a half drive. Yeah, and I've already mentioned you can get a train, but you might have to change at good old Exeter. Yeah, so hopefully that gives you an idea that we're not stuck out in the middle of nowhere. We are a desirable destination that is accessible if you need to get a flight from London. We also have Bristol, which is just up the road. It's an hour up the road, hour and a half maybe by car, hour by train, and that has lots of flights there. It's a key international airport, so there are different options for you. But yeah, everybody wants to come and live and work in Devon. If you ask anyone, most UK citizens would love to come and live and work here. And if they can't do that, then they'll come here on holiday in the summer. So there we go. Devon facts, only county with 2 coastlines. Well, you saw that on the previous map, the North Devon and then the Torbay side. So check us out. Longest road network in the UK. Well, what an interesting fact. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, it's there. 3 main urban areas. So Exeter, Plymouth, they're the city locations. Obviously the hospitals are bigger there. Torbay is a town. Barnstable in North Devon is also a town. The hospitals are smaller, although their population swells in the summer when the tourists come, I can assure you. And perhaps a different flavour to the different hospitals. City locations tend to be different to towns anyway, don't they? 2 moors. So the moors are rugged, dramatic. It's rugged, dramatic scenery, great big green open spaces. We have 2 within Devon, so we're so lucky. We have Exmoor National Park, Dartmoor National Park. These are protected areas. You see, Dartmoor ponies, so protected wildlife, things like that. And they are absolutely highly prized by visitors to Devon, to our area. Most popular UK holiday destination. I said that already, didn't I? It's true. Yes, the number of people unfortunately coming into the hospitals definitely has a seasonal flavour to it, particularly if you're in Torbay or North Devon. Yes, so the fact that everybody wants to come here on holiday should tell us nice things about Devon. What are we famous for? Seafood, obviously, we're right by the sea, so one would hope so. Fudge, now that's a sweet that's made, particularly in the Devon area. You will see it sold in many different shops, particularly in the holiday seasons. It's lovely. It's super sweet though, so watch out. A couple of pieces maybe, and then we have to think about our dental well-being, don't we? But it's very lovely. A pasty is a meat filled, or it could be veg. It doesn't have to be meat, but I'm sure there are vegan pasties nowadays also with the growth of veganism in this country. But yeah, pasties are normally a paste, some meat wrapped in pastry, and it's a food that the miners used to take down the tin mines. We're going back a few hundred years now, and that their wives, as it was then, used to prepare their pasties so that it was almost like a packed lunch food that they could take into the mine and eat. And that's where pasties actually come from. But we are known, both Devon and Cornwall, our neighbouring county, are known for pasties. And also cream teas, which are they're sweet things, as you can see on the right hand side. You see the thing on the bottom is called a scone or a scone. People say it in different ways. Then you've got cream on top of that, and then you have hopefully strawberry jam if you're a traditionalist. It's very important to get that the right way around. Devon people do cream, then jam. If you're from the neighbouring county of Cornwall, you would tend to do jam, then cream. So what a debate for you. I will leave that one with you for the day. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I do feel like I've spoken a lot, but I hope my passion, our passion, has come across to you. We look forward to welcoming you to Devon and the UK, and it's great to have TNAI's help to bring you also. So thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. There is no point of any questions because you have answered all the queries. So there is no need to read out my questions again. Only few things which I need to say is about how the delay happens for the recruitment, because majority cases the nurses will feel like once their paperwork is done, then everything shall be go faster. So that many occasions it's not possible because the people who have completed their paperwork earlier will be getting the course as well as the visa fast. So that's the one thing which we wish to ask you, and rest all things you have answered. Only some curious questions from the nurses, like maybe due to the video they have seen some other nationals also. So some questions like what's the population of Indian origin in Devon hospitals, and which is the hospital having more Indian nationals? And these are the one set of questions. And another thing is, what is the process of renewal of the contract after 3 years in Devon? And the last one for you is, will you support the nurses for NHS shifts to work in Devon? So these are the three questions. One is about the Indian nationals in Devon, and second one is the process of renewal, and the third one is support for NHS shift.
Okay, lovely. Okay, then thank you very much, Ajina. So to the first question, it will be my my understanding. I don't have any data to confirm this. However, so Exeter and Plymouth being the city locations with the larger hospitals currently would have the most Indian nurses working at them. However, I can tell you that since we've been working, we have started to create and added to a really nice network of Indian nurses, both at North Devon. I know because I'm on there, that we follow each other on Instagram, so I know they're having a good time. And also at Torbay. It's a smaller population of Indian nurses at Torbay currently, I believe, in relative terms, but we have been adding to that as we've placed nurses into Torbay Hospital. So there is a good network of Indian nationals, Indian nurses at any of our Devon hospitals, and that will, I'm sure, increase as we go forward. So I hope that answers the question there. What was, so remind me the second question?
Yeah, the second one is like, what is the process for renewal?
Renewal, that's right, I've got it now. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yes, once you have got your NMC PIN, so you've passed your OSCE, you then become a Band 5 registered nurse in the UK. So you are then an NHS employee, sort of on a permanent basis, if you like. The only thing that you have to be mindful of is that you will need to extend your visa. So your contract, how can I put it? Your contract of employment is then permanent. Okay, so it doesn't have an end date. The only thing is that to be compliant, you will need to extend your skilled worker visa, and then eventually you might choose, it's entirely up to you, but you might choose to become a UK citizen. That's your right after you've worked in the UK for, I believe it's 5 years.
5 years.
But yeah, thank you, Ajinas, you know. So yes, so the good news is your contract of employment with the as a registered nurse with the NMC is a permanent contract. It has no end date. It's just behind that, you need to obviously make sure that you have the right to live and work in the UK. So that's a visa extension, which is no problem if you're in a skilled worker role. So honestly, no worries there. There are no end dates. Obviously, you're then able to apply for, well, we're really into career development support as well within the NHS. I think this may have been covered in previous webinars, but I give, sorry, Carly, but I'll give Carly as a bit of an example. She's recently completed, the lovely Carly, her master's in leadership. And that has been funded and supported, etc. Hello, Carly, hasn't it, by the NHS as part of her ongoing career development. So I've got lots of examples of overseas nurses that I've spoken to, that we work with, that help us with interviewing, for example, all of whom have been given unlimited opportunities really to progress their careers, to become band 6 nurses, band 7, you know, whatever they choose to specialise in, whatever way they wish to develop their career, the NHS is more than happy to support those steps. And I just have so many examples of it, so I know what I'm saying is the case. So please don't worry about that. You can have a fantastic career. It doesn't have an end date. And as long as you just renew your visa, which is no problem, that's it. That should be okay. Yeah. I went off on a tangent.
And the last question was about the NHS shift. So yeah. Will you be supporting the NHS shift to Devon?
Yeah. So do you mean doing shifts, like additional shifts, like overtime and stuff? Is that what you mean, Ajinas?
No, this thing is like the shifting of the trust, because many occasions we can find that the nurses are, after reaching UK or after completion of their NMC, they're planning to shift their NHS trust. So the internal shifts I'm asking. Yeah.
Sorry, forgive me, I misunderstood there. Right, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, so right, when you become a band 5 nurse with your NMC pin after OSCE, you are a registered nurse in the UK. Okay, so technically you are then able to apply for roles at any other trust, anywhere you want to in the UK as a band 5, as a registered nurse, as a band 5 registered nurse. So that happens very quickly, really, doesn't it? However, as part of our One Devon offer, obviously the trust has paid out for your flight, there are lots of costs involved. So what we ask is that in an ideal world, you make a commitment and work at the trust that you first are deployed to and do your OSCE with, that you work there for ideally a 2-year period. We do have what I hate the word, but what we call a clawback, which is whereby if you do decide to leave that trust within the first 24 months or 2 years, then there will be an expectation that you pay back at least some of the cost of bringing you over to the UK and getting you set up. Okay, it's all laid out in your trust specific offer letter, so there are no surprises there. If you leave within the first year of employment, then we will ask for a percentage. I don't have the figures in front of me, but a percentage of the costs to bring you over. We ask that is paid back by you, and we will we'll work with the new trust that you're working at to deduct that from your salary as appropriate. You know, not that I want to focus on the negative, but obviously that's only fair, isn't it? And then that percentage that you would have to pay back goes down if you leave in the second year. Okay, but once you've sort of done that, anyone coming into a new job, new trust, new life, really, by changing country, you know, it's recommended for your own well-being that you spend, I would say, 2 years. You've got to get your OSCE. You've got to learn. You've got to settle into a new place. You've got to settle into perhaps some new ways of working. All of that stuff, and it will take probably 6 months to a year to really find your feet, as we say, you know, get settled into your new world. and then another perhaps 12 months to really get to grips with how things are done. You may not need that length of time, but it's recommended that you spend a couple of, 1 to 2 years, certainly getting yourself settled and stable where you are. By all means, then, if you want to change trust, apply for a role in another trust, and we wish you all the very best. You're still within the NHS, remember, so that's a really good news story for the NHS overall. And we are NHS employees. We want, we want to benefit the NHS overall. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And we have many questions in line, but due to the paucity of time, we cannot answer all the queries. However, we will drop our email address here so that you will be able to send your queries again, so that we will be answering queries later. But before moving on, there were some queries regarding the NMC consultation for the language. So just in 2 minutes, I will wrap those questions. And there were many questions like whether NMC will reduce the scores to C or 6.5 overall and individual. So the chances for that is we are finding it very less, but however, the consultation had not given their remarks for the and the consultation is going on, and hopefully in a month or two, they will be submitting those observations, because the public consultation is now on. So that we are not able to give any surety at this moment. And second thing is, some of the nurses they have some queries regarding the post-graduation. Those they have completed from India will be considered for the language exemption. So it's not, because those post-graduations which they have completed from UK only will be considered for this language exemption. Other than that, they will not be able to consider. Suppose if you have a post-graduation in midwifery or pediatric or community health nursing or whatever, that will not be considered for the language exemption. That shall be only from UK. And another thing was the employer referral letter, which mentioned by the NMC. That is also for those nurses who are working as a caregiver or healthcare assistants in UK. For them only this employer referral will work. Other than that, they cannot get any employer referral from India as a solution for your language requirement. So these are the major questions which we received on the NMC consultation. Due to paucity of time, we are unable to answer more questions, but we are free to answer your all questions through our WhatsApp as well as email. So it's our great pleasure to meet you all today here. And thanks to all, and I request Ms. Rashmi to pay the vote of thanks and we can conclude the meeting. But we are not closing this webinar here. We will be coming again with more wonderful sessions. So over to you, Rashmi.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everybody. And it's our privilege to have you on the TNAI platform. Thank you to the Devon and Torbay team. Thank you to our Secretary General, Mrs. Kivlin P. Kannan, to be here all the time and to give the views about the UK recruitment. Thank you, Mr. Ajinas AM, Assistant Secretary General, for moderating this program and for answering or giving the questions to the team. I thank Dr. Roy K. George, President TNAI, for joining us in the starting and for giving us permission to organize this program. Thank you, everyone. And at the end, I thank all the delegates to join this program and to ask questions related to the UK recruitment to Devon and Torbay Trust. Thank you, everyone, and have a great and blessed evening. Thank you.
Yeah, so also you can inform your friends that if anyone missed this webinar, they can watch it on YouTube. They can comment their queries on the YouTube. We will be happy to assist. So once again, thanks to all for joining this wonderful webinar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.